How do you learn who you really are? It's not found in books. It's found on the battlefield. What's up, warriors? All right, welcome back to Battlefield of the Mind, or training with us in Spartan training or in warrior training. I need to give you guys something that's critical and vital and important. They should have taught this in 8th grade, but there will be people who do not like you having this information. But I believe that it's of vital human importance that we understand what I'm going to teach you today, because what I'm going to teach you has been one of the main weapons in curing some of the hardest things that people are going through today. Depression, anxiety, addiction, PTSD. We got doubt, hopelessness, suicidal thoughts, body dysmorphia, worthlessness, bipolar disorder, attachment disorders, generational curses, shame, and all of the things that come with all of these elements. And if you learn how to do this thing, it makes it so those things become extremely beatable and very, very manageable. If you understand what I teach, good psychology, good therapy, good psychiatry, if you're good at this, it doesn't create dependency. And I'm going to teach you something that when you start to learn what I'm teaching, you won't need dependency on someone else for you to be able to grieve or go through hard losses. Now, with that, I remember seeing Tony Robbins live, and he said the hardest thing for human beings to be able to go through is loss. He says the hardest thing that people have to go through. And with that, I took that as a personal challenge of, well, then I'll get good at the hardest thing for people to do. That's what I'm going to do. And so my mastery goes into grieving, and I want to show you how in just a moment here. This also goes into the element, if you look at Dr. Joe Dispenza, where he said, if you can think yourself into depression or anxiety, if you can think yourself into hopelessness, if you can think yourself into suicidal thoughts, if you can think yourself sick, then can't you think yourself well? And I took these two elements of what these great men have said, where he says that loss is the hardest thing for human beings to process. And then if you can think yourself sick, then can't you think yourself well? Let me show you that when it comes to going through loss and going through grief, God didn't make a mistake with you having to go through your grieving systems of denial, bargaining, anger, and sadness to get to acceptance. You're not built wrong, but they're teaching it wrong. And I'm going to show you a better way. So first, let's go through the hard one. Let's get the toughest one, the one that gets everybody, the mind side element of it, denial. Okay, I want to get through denial first. Denial, if you guys aren't aware, we have deep trainings on denial, but denial is where I don't want to deal with the reality. It's the war with what is. I don't want to deal with this right now. I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to suppress. I'm going to push it down. I don't want to get involved and get into what it is that's going on with me. So I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to do anything but. Denial is a very, 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 very hard one to beat, because it also gives the gateway to addiction. It makes it so radical suppression of truth in yourself, and it creates the masks of protection that will do. Denial is a gnarly one. It's probably the toughest one. And so, well, what's the opposite then of doing all of the retreat, the suppress, and the hiding? The opposite of that is truth. And we have to work into acceptance of every element of our grieving. We're seeking truth, 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 truth. And so denial reveals the depth of your relationship with truth. It's not a flaw, it's a mirror. It shows that when you hear information or something happens, how do we deal with it? And we have to be able to look at this truth and be able to work through not an is what it is thing, but more of a, okay, this has happened thing. I talked to Olympic coach Justin Kavanaugh. He said humans are on a delay, a reality delay, and we are. And denial is one of the big things when you're in shock or you don't want to deal with, like, oh crap, I can't believe this is happening, or I can't believe they did that. Well, getting to the first stage of, well, okay, this happened, that happened. And being able to say those exact words has been the fastest way I see people cut into getting to the next step. But if you can't accept that it happened, you can't deal with truth, you'll try to control truth. And this is where you watch people try to manipulate themselves to protect themselves by closing themselves off or trying to live a fraudulent existence to try to make it so they can get through. These lies are not free. and they're very, very expensive. They cost you your life in multiple ways. You'll lose time, you'll lose connections, you'll lose authenticity. The truth of what you are will be revealed by your inability to handle truth. And so denial is trying to get it so you can learn truth. You need to be a truth hunter on this. Don't omit, don't suppress, don't mask, don't justify any lies that we do. Try to expose truth for what it is. Don't protect yourself from this. And the more that you are able to accept that has happened, the less likely you're going to be wrapped up in a denial system that traps you into your own protection system, which is actually emulates prison a lot more than protection. So what we need to do is be practicing radical honesty with ourselves and acceptance of our weak spots or whatever thing that has happened, even if it's horrible or we don't like it. That has happened, and have acceptance of what is. And that's the definition of acceptance, is acceptance is. And now we're on this reality delay of, okay, can I process that happened? That's true. That happened. And then be able to go, okay, what do I do next? Then you go into one of the other phases. I'm going to jump right to bargaining. Bargaining is going to go into the spirit side. So mind side is denial. That's where our deceptions are. Now this gets into purpose, the values, importance, the part of us that's who you are. And this gets into a much deeper part of the thing that you want. So if you're not sure or familiar with bargaining, bargaining is the element of us that wants to change the past to be a present that we wish it was. This is the rose-colored glasses we wear in bad dynamics. This is the stuff that will live in a fantasy of what coulda, shoulda, woulda been, or if only this was to be a thing, then I could have this. And the fantasies oftentimes are more difficult to grieve than the actual loss itself. And so some of you have been in relationships that have died, or, a marriage or a divorce that happened, or, a potential for a business or something that was important, and it didn't make it. Something happened where that thing died. But a lot of times, even like a long distance relationship or something like this, the fantasy, the dream of what could have been is much harder to grieve than the actual reality itself. That's difficult because bargaining will create something inside of your grief that you have to grieve inside of grieving. That means it'll create a fantasy environment or fantasy world that's oftentimes substantially better than the real one, but that's not real. And you have to grieve the loss of something that could be potentially so good, but doesn't actually exist. And that's very difficult for all of us to go through. It's one of the harder phases because it looks like it's good, but damn it, does it hurt. And, bargaining, I have linked to fear, and I'll show you guys in different videos how that works. But the fantasy that you're looking for, and I want you to think about it the other way, the fantasy of what I'm wanting to bargain for. So if my grandfather dies, which he has, my grandfather died, and I'm like, I would give anything to be able to talk to my grandfather again. Or I wish I would give anything to connect with a lost loved one or somebody who's passed away. I would give anything. It's like, well, don't you see then what part of that dynamic do you value? Your desire, your wish, the thing that you would trade for, that shows you something that's very, very important to you. And I think this is where people need to start really focusing, is that going through this phase is going to reveal things that you value, things that are important to you, things that are authentic to you, and things that make it so not only can you have appreciation for or even vet out for people that you would find qualified as a connection person for you, but also it gets into how you set your goals, set your dreams, finding your purpose gets into these are the things I learned that I value or are very important to me. And that leads you down an authentic path towards your purpose. So grab the elements of what you would bargain for. Grab those elements of like, I wish I had this. I want that. If this, then I could have this. Grab the pieces that you wish you had, write those down because those are showing you things that are important to you so you can grow. Bargaining is not meant to keep you trapped. Bargaining is meant to show you what's important to you so you can go to the next level, appreciating those more. So write those down. That's what bargaining is for. All right. Next gets into anger. Anger is a tough one for people, but I want to just pull back. Anger is part of our control system, just like any of the other parts. I want to control things. This is mostly by force. I'm going to get pissed off and I'm going to make it do what I want it to do. Anger is body side. This is going to show you your morality system. It's going to show accountability, and it's also going to teach you fairness. This is not an accident that you have anger. There's things inside of this that need to be addressed. And so your anger is your body's alarm system for injustice. This means it shows you what you personally believe is right and wrong. This means it reveals your own morality to yourself. And anger shows you the part of your morality that you believe, right and wrong, good or bad. That is your idea of fairness, justice, and control. So that way you can learn about humility, compassion, or even making sure you have a grasp of the golden rule, which is treat others the way you'd like to be treated, that even you don't break. Now, the way you can test if you're on the right track for something that makes you feel like that feels bad, it makes me a little angry about that, is you'll create a system of justice, that they should be punished, or that person needs to get their ass kicked, or this person should be whatever. You make up a punishment system for them. The way you can tell if your morality or your justice system is actually sound is removing the double standard, be humble in the judgments that you're casting, and then see if you would want to be on the receiving end. If you were to switch roles and you made a mistake, how would you want to be treated? And this is going to show you who you really are. And so if you have a triggered response that goes into some sort of like raw, Incredible Hulk mode, and you want to go smash everybody on something that's already happened, you can't get angry enough to change the past. This is going to show you how you believe things are supposed to work. Now, I just want to put this thing in there so you have a little side note on anger. There's usually categories I see that you can find. Where do I find that this has been a wrong thing for my morality? The three categories for anger I found is if something is taken away from you, like somebody takes something from you, or if something is lost. That's going to be the first part of it where I hate that. I don't like that. That's bad, which leads into unfairness or injustice. That's my second category of things like that's not fair or that's not right. That's the wrong thing to do for all people, breaks the golden rule, right? And the last one, when it comes to relationships, mostly any dynamic, whether it's a boss relationship, best friends, lover, parents, is when there's an unmet need. And this one's difficult because most of us don't know ourselves well enough to articulate unmet needs, and or we'll try and make demands or yell at people to do wants, but call it an unmet need because we don't know what that means. And there's a whole training on this too. It's going to show you that you need to temper your injustice system. You have to have humility and compassion around what it is that other people are going through, because it's only a matter of time until you make your mistake. And would you want to be on the receiving end of your own morality? This is an eye-opening question because it's going to show you, are you going to be a person who uses your anger to justify a promotion you've created by your self-righteous, you know, anger system? Mad, so I'm in charge. Like that shows you're not in control of you, so you should be in control of others. Well, the other option is to have acceptance that people aren't always trying to do such terrible things, especially if it backfires on themselves. And to be able to kind of slow down and go, well, I can't really change the past on this one, but I can understand and learn myself from it. And it teaches me what I believe is right or wrong. It teaches me what I believe is fair or unfair. And it teaches me to be accountable to my own actions or emotions around how I try to control things. And anger is a very good revealer of ourselves and is a lot of lessons that you can learn from your trigger of being upset. It's a good thing. It's a powerful thing. And so use it. This is not bad. Anger is not bad. It reveals you to yourself. So pay attention to what the lesson is. So that way you don't stay stuck trying to control people instead of understanding yourself. Now let's go to sadness. Sadness. Oh, the depth of despair. This is heart side. Now, your sadness is going to be the depth of your heart. And I think you guys need to understand that having your heart broken is necessary. I talked with Kurt Blackson on this one, and he was showing in his book something I agree. And we adapted the concept of kintsugi, which is Japanese art for, You break the bowl and then you put it back together with gold inlays, and the gold ends up becoming the strongest part of like the mortar of your broken bowl or broken plate or whatever it is you do. Well, we use this for your broken heart, and you put your heart back together. What sadness inversely shows you is the depth of your ability to love. It shows appreciation, it shows empathy, but deep, deep, deep is how deeply you can love. And the more your heart has been hurt and the more pain that you've had in your heart, it also makes it so you can empathetically connect to people going through difficult things. And it makes it so you have a greater propensity and ability to love. And so your sadness is proportionate to your depth of love. And so keeping your heart broken will make it so you can't fill it up. So you have to put it back together, and then it's bigger and you can hold more love. Sadness is our heart's cry for healing and reconnection. It teaches us how to love more deeply. And I want you to understand that being sad isn't bad. Being sad is the path to being able to love. It just shows your ability to connect. So, our responsibility for the healing element is we have to put our heart back together. You have to take the time and the skill of being able to, like, my heart was broken, and that's okay. I'm sad, but I'm going to put it back together again, because none of the things that have happened in your past is meant to be a disorder or an identity. It's supposed to be a lesson that's learned. And that's what this is going to teach you is just because there was a trauma or a tragedy, it doesn't mean that that's your identity or a disorder. It's your ability to be able to learn and grow through these, which shows your ability to be able to love deeper or connect deeper or know what's important to you or build your morality or understand how to handle the truth. So the more that you go through sadness, the more you can connect to somebody else's sadness. You don't have to control what's going on, and you don't have to be like them, but you can understand. I know what it's like to have my heart broken. So if you have a broken heart, I can connect with you on that, even if it's a different circumstance than I've been through. The depth of your sadness pushes the depth of your ability to connect. It pushes the ability to love. And the more you rebuild your heart with gold, the larger and more sturdy your heart becomes until you have a large heart of gold. So your compassion, your empathy, your connection becomes stronger, making your appreciation for what you have in real time, it makes it more beautiful. Because if you're so scared of how much it'll hurt your heart to lose something, it should also inversely make the value of your appreciation and gratitude in the time that you have it right now much, much higher. And so, for those people who close off their hearts and shut down their emotions, thinking that that somehow makes them good, it actually is eliminating the ability to love. And that's a very hard thing for me, too, because this was the part of me that was the shut down my emotion for crying, convert that into anger, because anger was how I would cry. And then I would have like just this rage all day that I didn't know how to deal with, which inversely meant I was unbalanced. I had a repressed heart and I wasn't able to actually love. And I had to open this all the way up. And once you can really truly surrender to the love element and put your heart back together, life is different. I think love becomes the greatest ability that humans can be. And when you understand that, you start seeing purpose through all the things that we've ever tried to do. And so being able to seek balance for mind, heart, body, spirit gets us to the acceptance element on every part of us. So denial, bargaining, anger, sadness to get to acceptance, these are not an accident. God didn't fuck up and give us something that we can't do, or we're messed up, or you have a disorder or a problem because you're grieving. I'm telling you, when people learn how to do this, you become free. You don't have disorders anymore. You don't sit in fear anymore. I will grieve through difficult things because I understand that I don't need to hide from this. I don't need to be in denial because the truth is, and I just need to process that, learn from it, and accept these things to make it so I can then make good choices. We have free will. You have good choices that you make from being able to accept things that are. Then it shows you your bargaining element. Well, I wish I had this. I wish they wouldn't have done this. I like this, or I value this, or if I could only have that. If. Well, look at what it is that you're trying to get. Write those things down because those are important to you. Develop those in yourself, but then also appreciate those in others. Those are very good connector points for people who have aligned values and higher standards. This is good. It's good to know that about yourself. Anger teaches you how to be more moral, more fair, more just. Become a better person because you know what it's like to be around somebody who doesn't have those systems. And you get to raise your level of integrity and morality by being good instead of being controlling or manipulative. It's not good. Then you start going into the sadness. And your broken heart is not an indicator of your inadequacy. A broken heart is the indicator of your depth of compassion and be able to love deeply, be able to be empathetic with people who go through hard things. And if you're not able to be empathetic to any member of your pack or your family, this is an indicator of where your heart is not okay, not how they're not good enough. This gives you the ability to go hurt hunting. Find what is not okay in here and then rejoice when you find it, because now you have something to grieve. And grieving is a healthy thing that's designed for growth, not designed for management, not designed for medication, not designed for coping with. It's designed to grow from, so you can authentically be who and what you are meant to be for this existence, because what you are is awesome. One of the toughest sales pitches I see is for people to not believe in themselves because they've been through tough times and they use some sort of thing that happened from their past as their identity. And this means they never grieve. And you've seen people who identify with being abused, abandoned, or being traumatized in some way, shape, or form. And when they associate identity to the past, it will eliminate the ability to grow. This is part of denial, again, by the way. That's why one's nasty. You have to accept truth of what is, so that way you can grow into what you're made to be or what you're designed to be. This is a powerful lesson. I wish as an 8th grader they would have given me any of these tools: how to deal with a broken heart, how to deal with betrayal, how to deal with radical loss, how to deal with death, how to challenge myself in being able to work through the parts that I want to control from others, or deal with injustice or deal with unfairness. You know, how to be able to keep my authenticity in the face of people who are judgmental or shaming. You know, the elements of us that die from us sacrificing parts of us to get something that we think that we want, and then you realize how much you've really lost. If you don't know how to grieve through these things and grow from these things, you'll be stuck in them forever. If you understand what I just taught you in this video, you will be free from most of the things that keep people trapped. There's a lot more training that we have and a lot more stuff that I can give you in depth on how to do this effectively. But take notes on this, because again, good therapy, good psychology, good psychiatry does not create dependency. It should teach you how to be free. And if this is done right, you won't need me anymore at all, because you'll know how to do it. And there are only 2 kinds of people in this world: trained or untrained. Now you have more training. Get to work. Let's practice. Click on the button and you can become the hero in your own story. It's time to start making the choices to change. And the evolution that you're going to do begins with choosing the next step. This is the way. And together, we're always stronger.